Hi everyone and welcome. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Ken Cruz here in Washington. It's Saturday, March 19th, 2022, here in the nation's capital. This week's stories. The United Nations warns of an extremely dire situation in East Ukraine. Blinken says he doesn't see signs that Putin is prepared to stop. Hawaii solidarity with war-torn Ukraine remains visible and strong. California gas prices are the highest nationwide. Californians react to the soaring gas prices. Ontario to end its mask mandate. On correspondence at large, Europe is facing the worst refugee crisis since the Second World War. COVID infections are on the rise again with a new BA.2 variant. The Eiffel Tower grows taller by 20 feet. Those and more in a little bit. On Mind Your Business, how to combat and survive the rising cost of everything. On Down to Earth, the city of Lakeland in Florida celebrates the 65th year since Queen Elizabeth gifted the city with a pair of royal swans. On Color My World, let's take a trip to the world-famous San Antonio Riverwalk. On EBC Sports International, NASCAR roars back to life in California. The Vancouver Whitecaps match versus New York City FC ends in a draw. And the British Columbia High School Provincial Championship wows the crowd after a 2-year hiatus. Several stories on Oceania at a glance. In Australia, Lismore residents receive aid after the historic flooding in southeast Queensland. And in Papua New Guinea, women are urged to run for office. Plus, on Behind the Counter, today we learn how to make some tofu-rific lettuce wraps. Our coverage begins now. Conditions in war-ravaged Ukraine are life-threatening. United Nations spokesman Matthew Saltmarsh says things we take for granted are not available, and the consequences could be deadly for people in the besieged cities.
The humanitarian situation in cities such as Mariupol and Sumy is extremely dire, with residents facing critical and potentially fatal shortages of food, water, and medicine.
The UN says more than 3.2 million people have fled Ukraine since the war began more than 3 weeks ago. Millions more have been displaced internally. How bad is the situation? Saltmarsh says across Ukraine, 13 million people need humanitarian assistance.
The humanitarian needs within the country, and particularly in the east, are becoming even more urgent. More than 200,000 people are now without access to water across several localities in Donetsk Oblast, while the constant shelling in Luhansk region has destroyed 80% of some localities, leaving 97,800 families without power.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says it doesn't appear Russia is interested in a diplomatic solution to the conflict.
Diplomacy requires both sides engaging in good faith to de-escalate, and I don't see signs right now that Putin is prepared to stop. On the contrary, if you listen to, just for example, his most recent remarks yesterday, that suggests that he is moving in the opposite direction. But never mind the words, what we're really focused on is actions. And the actions that we're seeing Russia take every single day, virtually every minute of every day, are in total contrast to any serious diplomatic effort to end the war. So,
Blinken accuses Russia of committing war crimes in Ukraine.
And among other things, the intentional targeting of civilians would constitute a war crime. You heard President Biden speak to this yesterday. You heard what I said a few minutes ago. So we are documenting. We welcome the efforts of various groups, institutions, organizations that focus on this to bring all of the evidence together, to continue to document things, and then for there to be accountability, one way or the other.
The impact of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues to be felt around the world, even as far as Hawaii. As Hawaii Pacific Bureau Chief Alfred Asenis reports, there has been an outpouring of support to the Ukrainian people in the Aloha State.
We are sympathetic of our neighbors, our people in Ukraine. We're encouraging our community and people of the world to pray.
I'm here as a concerned citizen, okay? Because what's going on is just so evil. We can't just stand back and do nothing. And if even if so much as wearing Ukrainian colors and waving at people, that's doing something at least, maybe to raise consciousness.
Just a few moments, Honolulu Hale, which houses the office of the mayor and the city council, will light up with yellow and blue, representing the colors of the flag of the European country of Ukraine.
In our shared contempt for what's happened to the people of Ukraine, that Honolulu Hale will be lit in blue and yellow lights in support of the Ukrainian people. This is something that, I've been on this planet since 1946, and this sort of predates my whole sense of the world, and something that sounds like it was happening in the 1930s. It's really absolutely hard to comprehend that this is going on. We can only pray for those people, and somehow, some way, through diplomacy or some other action, that this comes to an end, and comes to an end quickly.
In California, fallout from the war in Ukraine is most noticeable at the gas pumps. Eagle News correspondent Macy Membrere reports.
Thank you. In California and across the country, gas continues to be a hot topic because of the high prices. Although the national average for gas prices has started to level out and in some states decrease, California has seen an increase from the last week and remains the highest in the country. According to AAA, the current national average is about $4.29, with an average in California at $5.76. This is an increase of more than $1 in California when compared to last month's gas prices. In other news, California is sending supplies to aid Ukrainian refugees, which includes medical supplies such as IV kits, defibrillators, and beds. Now, Governor Newsom joined to help in sending out these packages, which also included 100 oxygen concentrators and personal protective equipment to refugee camps. Here's a short video posted by the Office of the Governor of California.
So many Ukrainians live in the state of California. We're accommodating their needs, their families' needs, everything you possibly can need, from beds to support medical supplies that are direct asks from the Ukrainian government.
In Sacramento, California, Macy Membrere, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Still, with those high gas prices, Eagle News correspondent Keisha Lebanon talked with some people fueling their vehicles in Los Angeles.
Gas prices are surging to record highs in California. According to the American Automobile Association, the state of California has the highest average price of about $5.78 per gallon for regular gas in the country. Hawaii trails at about $5.12 per gallon. The national average is at $4.28 per gallon. Residents are feeling this great impact on their wallets as they react to increasing gas prices in various cities.
I work for DoorDash, and so I drive a lot, and gas prices are out of hand. And I just pick and choose what deliveries I take, because I'm not going to take one where I don't see a tip, because I can see what I'm going to make. And I don't take ones that are far, and I don't drive more than I have to, in my personal life.
Just made my way back home and realized gas prices are really, really high, right around $6.50. Probably not going to be driving so often now. Try to carpool with my housemates as much as I can and really just ride this one out.
I'm a real estate developer. I'm not taking jobs far out. Trying to stay local. $6 a gallon is kind of tough. So you just kind of pick and choose your battles, and that's how I cope with it right now until it gets worse or better.
There's a few things that jump out to me in regards to the rising gas prices in the United States. To name a few at the top of my head, the automobile-centric infrastructure that the United States is built off of that create this problem and this reliance on cars in the first place. The privilege that electric car owners have to be able to afford electric cars in the first place, but to be able to pay less for fuel during these times. Something that sticks out to me most these days is that the rising gas prices will disproportionately affect lower income families and individuals first. For example, in San Francisco, the average cost of a one-bedroom apartment is $3,300. Generally, people who can't afford to live in the city will have to live far away and have to rely on cars to get to the city for work, but have to pay more for gas. And on top of that, toll on the Bay Bridge is $7, which is ridiculous.
I am not happy at all with this gas price, and how I deal with it is I'm just trying not to drive long distances.
As the cost per gallon continues to rise, Californians are finding unique ways to cope, such as by shortening trips around town in an attempt to make every dollar stretch a bit further. Keisha Lebanon, Eagle News, Los Angeles.
Up in Canada, the province of Ontario is poised to get rid of its mask mandate. Eagle News correspondent Ashley Sackmar says on Monday, face masks will no longer be required in most public settings.
Ontario is only a few days away from removing masking requirements from most places, and Ontarians have given mixed responses regarding the matter. The announcement was made last week, March 9, by Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Kieran Moore. On March 21st, Ontario will remove mandatory masking from most places, including schools. Schools will also no longer be required to do daily on-site screenings and cohorting of students. For businesses, passive screenings and safety plans will no longer be required. All remaining COVID restrictions and emergency orders are set to expire on April 27. The Ontario Principals Council, or OPC, released a statement urging the government to pause the decision to end masking in schools. The statement highlights that Dr. Moore himself has stated caseloads are likely 10 times higher than what PCR testing reports have indicated. Most importantly, the vaccination rate for children ages 5 to 11 is below 30%. The majority of those vaccinated are adults 18 years and older. Dr. David Jacobs, president of Ontario Association of Radiologists, welcomes the news of the end of the mask mandate. However, Dr. Jacobs reminds those against the provincial decision of the option to continue masking. Dr. Moore emphasizes that masking after March 21st is a choice, urging all Ontarians to respect those who choose to wear their masks. As of March 14, less than a week away from the removal of the mask mandate, Ontario's 7-day case count is reported over 12,000, the highest in Canada. The total of active cases in the province is reported to be over 16,000. Ashley Sackmar, Eagle News, Toronto.
Our correspondent at large, Thomas I. Likeness, has his commentary on the war in Ukraine. As well, he'll tell you about the Eiffel Tower getting taller and some wacky Australians trying to fly.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. It's been over 3 weeks now since Russia invaded Ukraine. Thousands of civilians dead, hundreds of thousands of people fleeing the country. Europe is facing a refugee crisis that hasn't been seen since the end of World War II. Russian President Vladimir Putin, for his part, has no regard for the Ukrainian people. Hospitals, neighborhoods, orphanages, all have been bombed. No one, other than people in his own country, is believing his rationale anymore for invading Ukraine. There's no evidence that the country was overrun by Nazis and needed to be liberated. That was his original claim. You see, what Putin didn't count on was the resistance his military would face. And even if he succeeds in replacing the Ukrainian government with a puppet administration, there's no guarantee he'll be able to keep the population under his control. Remember those weekend warriors who occupied the Canadian capital for 3 weeks before the government here got tough and sent them home? Well, they still continue to hold weekend rallies in Calgary, Victoria, BC, among other places, still protesting COVID-19 restrictions, most of which have been lifted, still claiming to be fighting for freedom, but their cries pale in comparison to what is happening in Ukraine. British Columbia Premier John Horgan had a message for them this past week.
So we are spending an awful lot of time with a small group of people who seem to have nothing better to do with their time but to drive around in circles honking their horns. I wish they'd take some time to watch television and see the evening news about real tragedies and real disruptions in freedom that are going on in Europe right now. Give your head a shake. Find a better way to take your energies and put it to positive outcomes.
The pandemic, will it ever end? The World Health Organization reporting new cases are up 8% globally in the last week. Hardest hit regions, Asia and Europe. In Shenzhen, China, this neighborhood has been locked down. You can see it surrounded by barriers and they're topped with barbed wire. Same thing in Shanghai, streets cordoned off. The culprit, a subvariant, its name BA2. BA2. The World Health Organization blaming the spread on relaxed public health measures. Is North America next? Will there be a sixth wave? You know, restrictions on this side of the globe are just about gone. People looking forward to a summer that's close to normal, something they haven't experienced in more than 2 years. But lurking in the wings, BA2. We wait to see how this plays out. You all recognize this landmark, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. Well, it's had a bit of a growth spurt this past week. That's right, it's now 6 meters taller. That's about 20 feet. Engineers placed a new radio antenna atop the 132-year-old structure. The tower is now 330 meters tall. Let's go to the banks of the Yarra River now. It runs through the city of Melbourne in Australia. It's also the site of the Birdman Rally. Contestants and their homemade flying machines try to soar to new heights. They launch off a platform on the muddy river to see how long they can remain airborne. Oh, okay. The first rule, according to veteran competitors, the first rule, keep your mouth shut. That river is dirty and you don't want to swallow any of its water. So here are some of the weird contraptions you see up here on the screen. Most of them don't even stay aloft for 1 meter. That's even if they get airborne. The winners, well, they donate their prize money to charity. This year's winner, Anna Gleason. Congratulations, Anna. I'll be back in 7 days. Feet on the ground, of course. In the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, correspondent at large, Eagle News.
Thanks, Thomas. Now, how is inflation affecting you? As prices rise, do you have enough money to cover your costs? On this week's Mind Your Business, Eagle News business correspondent Bobby Soriano talks about what, if anything, we can do to fight inflation.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another segment of Mind Your Business, where we are dedicated to discussing the latest news moving the markets and business trends that could be affecting your workplace soon. So you might have noticed recently that your wallet has been a little lighter these days. Maybe that value meal you bought doesn't have as much value as it used to. Maybe you just passed your local gas station and you're starting to wonder, did you imagine those cheap prices you saw a month, 2 weeks, or even just a week ago? You're definitely not imagining things, as inflation here in the US has really picked up, and it doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. US consumer prices, which are used to track how much inflation is rising on a month-to-month basis, hit a new 40-year high last month according to the Labor Department, with the Consumer Price Index rising 7.9% higher in February compared to the same month last year, its biggest jump since 1982. To put that into perspective, the last time a jump in the CPI was this high, music lovers were going crazy over the debut of Michael Jackson's Thriller, and the first episode of The Late Night Show with David Letterman aired. And no surprise here that the cost of gas was the biggest contributing factor to the CPI increase, responsible for more than a third of it. Other categories, including food, used car, and housing prices, saw their largest increases since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, on a national level, the Federal Reserve announced on Wednesday that it will be trying to clamp down on out-of-control prices with a series of interest rate hikes that will be implemented throughout the year. But what about in our own households? Is there anything we can do to combat inflation and the rising cost of everything? Unfortunately, there's not much we can do to slow down prices rising on a national level. Our only hope is to ride it out with some old-fashioned money-saving techniques. For example, since gas is a consumer good with the biggest price increase, stands to reason then that the best way to fight rising costs in our bills is to limit our usage of it. Trying to run all of our errands on a single day instead of multiple trips, carpooling to work or your church, and using apps that track local gas prices to find the lowest prices are all ways we can save at the pump. Paying down debt will also help save money in the long run. The interest rate you pay on credit cards is directly tied to the interest rate hikes that will be forthcoming by the Federal Reserve. So paying down debt before those hikes reach your credit card statements will help to keep a few more dollars in your bank account. And finally, on the income side of things, if you have any leverage whatsoever at your job, now might be a time to ask for a larger than usual pay increase. Maybe you're used to getting a 3 to 4% raise every year. What many people don't realize, however, is that if inflation rises higher than your paycheck, you're actually receiving a pay cut, because your pay raise doesn't even cover the new cost of goods. Very few companies could give a pay raise that would completely cover the inflation we're seeing today, but if you're in a good position to negotiate an extra 0.5% or more, it will still help to dull the edge of inflation cutting into your finances. Now, it's really anyone's guess as to when we'll start to see inflation go back to the Fed's target inflation of 2% a year. The pandemic, along with recent geopolitical tensions, have created a perfect storm to keep inflation high for at least the near future. Until then, hopefully some of the tips we gave today can help you and your family keep the costs in your home under control. Reporting from New York for Mind Your Business, this is Bobby Soriano, Eagle News.
Thanks, Bobby. In Lakeland, Florida, the city has marked the 65th anniversary of the Royal Swans given to the community by Queen Elizabeth II. Melissa Allen of Down to Earth takes a look at the legacy of that gift.
In Central Florida, the city of Lakeland recently celebrated the 65th anniversary of the arrival of 2 swans that were gifted from Queen Elizabeth II in 1957. Since then, the swan population has continued to thrive in Lakeland, and this magnificent bird even serves as the city's symbol. Swan statues and other forms of swan art can be found throughout the city. In downtown Lakeland, beautiful Lake Morton is the home to the city's biggest population of swans, as well as other water birds, including pelicans, ducks, and geese. Lakeland's Parks and Recreation Department regularly monitors the health and safety of these birds, and once a year, every swan is gathered into holding pens, where they receive a checkup by a veterinary team. This is done on an annual basis in order to help preserve the strength and vitality of the city's swan population for generations to come. Melissa Allen, Eagle News, Lakeland, Florida.
Thanks, Melissa. On this week's Color My World, here is a unique way to explore the Texas city of San Antonio. Eagle News correspondent Jane Rogel takes us on a tour of the city's Riverwalk.
Today, we will explore one of the most popular tourist destinations in San Antonio, Texas. Welcome to the Riverwalk.
If you ever get a chance to visit the historic city of San Antonio, make sure to explore the Riverwalk downtown for a uniquely Texas experience. This world-renowned landmark, a 15-mile waterway that loops around the city just below street level, is lined with stores, restaurants, hotels, entertainment, and historical points of interest. The idea for the Riverwalk came several years after the 1921 flooding of the San Antonio River downtown, which killed over 50 people and caused millions of dollars of damage to the city. City planners debated what to do until one man, an architect named Robert H. Hugman, proposed a plan in 1929 that would not only create a solution for future floods, but also transform the area into a beautiful urban park with hotels, shopping, dining, old-fashioned street lamps, walkways, and bridges to accommodate boat rides, similar to Venice, Italy. A decade later, the project was funded and the Riverwalk was born. Over the years, the Riverwalk has continued to flourish with multiple improvements and added extensions, drawing 11.5 million tourists and residents each year. As an official city park, the Riverwalk is a unique attraction that combines nature with urban entertainment and also serves as a venue for many city festivals and parades. You can stroll along the winding path of the Riverwalk to discover the boutiques, cafes, and multiple attractions. But if you prefer to sit back, relax, and enjoy the scenery, try a riverboat cruise. Tickets for this public boat tour are available online or by visiting one of the Go Rio kiosks along the river. This 35-minute narrated cruise takes visitors around the downtown area, where a certified tour guide entertains passengers with historical facts and humorous anecdotes while pointing out unique sights along the river, which include 100-foot bald cypress trees, iconic monuments, and even filming locations of popular movies such as Selena or Miss Congeniality. The boat tours leave the docks every 15 to 20 minutes daily and run every day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., weather permitting. For those looking to just go from place to place, Go Rio also offers a shuttle service for a small fee. The Riverwalk provides access to major attractions throughout the city, such as museums, the shops at River Center Mall, the Tower of Americas, as well as the historical Alamo. It even extends farther to places like the Pearl Brewery Shopping District and the San Antonio Mission's UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Hi, my name is Eric Fuentes. I am from Mexico, in Saltillo, Coahuila. It's the city in the north of Mexico. Yes, in my first time here in the city, I like so much. It's very big and beautiful. I like San Antonio. A lot of people here, but it's okay. It's very amazing.
For more information on the San Antonio Riverwalk, such as maps, tours, and upcoming events, visit www.thesanantonioriverwalk.com. Meanwhile, I hope you enjoy this tour of San Antonio's top visited attraction.
Jane Rodell, Eagle News, San Antonio, Texas.
Thanks, Jane. On this week's EBC Sports International, NASCAR roars back to life in California after skipping their West Coast venue last year due to the pandemic. Fans celebrate the return of NASCAR to its traditional West Coast stomping grounds at the Auto Club Speedway. The 2-mile track showcased plenty of high-speed motorsport action with professional drivers fighting for position in their bid to capture the checkered flag. In Fontana, California, Alan and Eva Basalyahe with the story.
It's 2 days of NASCAR racing action at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California.
Drivers hunting for season points in the Xfinity and Cup Series bring the thunder and rumble to the track that NASCAR fans have come to expect.
Drivers in the Production Alliance 300 and the 25th Wise Power 400 spoke about the plan of attack for their respective races.
The biggest thing is no mistakes today, and a brand new car at this racetrack, so saw a lot of mistakes all weekend. People spinning out, wrecking, and just hope to keep it straight today and kind of see what the car will give you.
We got to go to the back for unapproved adjustments, but we're gonna go out there and we're gonna get to the front.
It's gonna be chaos. It's like I said, it's the first real racetrack for us in my mind, other than Daytona. This place is super wide. You're gonna run top to bottom. You're gonna see 4 or 5 wide on restarts, and it's really hectic as a driver. So you got to be aggressive. You got to take advantage of it when you can, and it's just all in all a very entertaining racetrack.
Top finishers of the Wise Power 400 gave a summation of their performance as well as their views of racing conditions.
Alan Basalyahe, Eagle Broadcasting. Starting position today wasn't as desirable as you would have liked. How did you get the job done when basically the entire race was a fight from start to finish?
Yeah, thankfully, the races are so long that if your car is good, it doesn't matter how far back you start. We were able to get to like 12 pretty quickly, so I was very pleased with that. I wasn't sure with the unknown of dirty air and stuff how hard it was going to be to get to the front, but myself and Joey were able to drive up there pretty quickly, and they just had to adjust our car from there. We put ourselves in the game from early on and just had to kind of chip away at it and make good decisions. Both on the pit box and behind the wheel. And we were able to do that today and execute a very good race.
It was a lot of ups and downs, but overall, top 5 at the end is okay. You had a chance to win, but they're close.
The racetrack was great, weather unbelievable, the fans, as always, they never disappoint. They're amazing. Some of the best fans that we'll get to see, in my opinion. So I think the conditions were amazing.
Whether in the stands of the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana or having fun at the fan zone, racegoers talked about what makes NASCAR their sport of choice.
Today's my very first NASCAR experience. I haven't done this before, but now that my husband got to sponsor a car, he's like, let's go on down. He's like, so you can have like an experience, first-hand experience, and it's been fun. My husband is actually sponsoring car 51 for Jeremy Clements, and we're just enjoying the day.
I've been a longtime NASCAR fan. I'm really excited. We actually sponsored a car for the first time where we're helping out with number 36, Alex LeVay, doing a real good job. It's a real good event for the whole family because I've got my kids here. They love it. It's something that they love the cars. They love the sounds. They love all the colors on the cars. So it's been something that we try and do almost every year for the last 5 years.
Watching a race in person, there's nothing like it. You got the fans.
Definitely the crazy fans, and then just how loud it is. You never expect it to be so loud.
For me, it's the smell. It's a smell you can't duplicate at home. Just the burning metal and the rubber. It's one of a kind. You only experience it at races.
They have a bunch of cool fan experiences. You get all the manufacturers and the sponsors all get involved to try and create a cool experience for all the fans who come out. There's a bunch of merchandise, events, freebies, that sort of thing everywhere.
It's super fun. There's a lot of free stuff. It's an energy of going fast, and you want your driver to win, so it's competitive energy.
Just buy a ticket and get here.
and then it'll never be the same for you. Just get a ticket, get here, and you're good to go. That's all you need to do.
Before heading off to the race, we wondered which attendees could answer our question about the NASCAR acronym. What does NASCAR stand for?
Oh.
This is how far I don't know. National something.
National something racing.
National Association of Stock Car Racing.
You're wrong.
National Association.
National Association
for Stock Car Auto Racing.
Stock Car Auto Racing?
This 2-mile oval-shaped track is familiar stomping grounds for race fans who not only know what NASCAR stands for,
but who also know that when you spell out NASCAR, the word you end up with is fast and fun. 2 words.
Evan Allen, Eagle News, Los Angeles.
Vroom vroom! Thanks, Eva and Allen. In Major League Soccer, the Vancouver Whitecaps hosted the defending MLS Cup champs New York City FC. Zsolti Horvath tells us how the match ended.
It was a night of missed opportunities as the defending MLS Cup champs New York City FC rolled into town to face the Vancouver Whitecaps. The match ended in a 0-0 draw as both teams took home their first point in the standings. After finishing last season as the hottest team in the league, the Whitecaps came into Week 2 off of a 4-0 embarrassing loss to the Columbus Crew, and this match was not any easier. Goalkeeper Thomas Hasal made 4 huge saves on the day as he earned himself a spot on the MLS Team of the Week. Hasal's best save of the night came in the 89th minute when Santiago Rodriguez sent a ball into the Vancouver box, where Thiago Andrade redirected it at the Caps' net. The Canadian keeper leapt up off the goal line, tipping the shot up and over the crossbar. The Whitecaps' defense was stellar as well as they blocked 7 of the astronomical number of 19 shots New York City FC took. The defense had to be on top of their game as New York held 71% of the possession, the highest by any Whitecaps opponent since 2013. Luck also played a bit into it, as in the 15th minute, New York City FC's Alexander Callens put a header off the crossbar. As for the offensive side of the ball, Vancouver's first on-target shot came when attacking midfielder Ryan Gauld sent a crisp cross into Cavallini in the box. The Canadian striker flicked a header on the net, but New York keeper Johnson made the diving stop. The Whitecaps managed only 4 shots, with the one that I mentioned being the only one on target. After mustering up only 1 point in their first 2 games, the Whitecaps will head south next week to face the Houston Dynamo in their first Western Conference game of the season. From BC Place Stadium in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, I'm Zsolti Horvath. We live in interesting times.
It was an exciting time for boys high school basketball in British Columbia, Canada. The BC Provincial Championships were held for the first time in 2 years. Once again, here's Zsolti with a report.
It was an incredible night in BC for high school basketball as the Provincial Championships took place at the Langley Event Center in front of a sold-out crowd. It was the first time in 2 years that the provincials were held due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 4 championships took place from 1A up to 4A, and EBC Sports was there for all the action. Starting in the 1A category, we had the defending champs and number 1 ranked Unity Christian Flames from Chilliwack against Victoria's number 2 ranked Glen Lyon Norfolk Griffins. Glen Lyon started the game strong, taking an early 10-point lead, but a huge 35-point second quarter by the Flames brought them ahead, and they never looked back, winning the title 89-71. Glen Lyon was led by grade 11 star Callum Shillington with 21 points and 7 rebounds, while Unity Christian's Levi Van Egdom took home MVP honors with 35 points and 5 rebounds. Moving on to the 2A title game, number 2 ranked Lambrook Park Lions out of Victoria battled it out against number 4 Westside Wonders of Kamloops. Lambrook Park has always been a powerhouse at the 2A level, and it showed through the first 3 quarters. Lions guard Wyatt Bernesma Stokes put up a game-leading 29 points as Lambrook entered the 4th quarter with a 52-42 lead. The Wonders from Westside dug deep and pulled off the comeback in the 4th, scoring 31 points in the final frame to win the title 73-71. This is Westside's first ever provincial basketball title. The Wonders, yes, that is their nickname, the Wonders, were led by 26 points of Callum Grimmaud and 2A MVP Caleb Azadegbo, who put up 24 points and 9 rebounds. In what was the loudest and most exciting game of the night, the 3A game featured the sold-out crowd of over 5,000 with standing room only. The number 1 ranked St. Patrick's Celtics of Vancouver came up against the number 2 ranked Elgin Park Orcas from Surrey. Elgin took a quick 15-point lead in the first, and the overrated chants started to fill the arena. But when I tell you that did not faze the majority of the grade 11 squad from St. Pat's, you better believe it, as they slowly picked away at the lead, and with 2 minutes to go in the 4th, they took their first lead of the game. With the comeback complete, St. Pat's won the title 56-52, and my ears are still ringing from how loud the crowd was. Elgin was led by the 16 points and 12 rebounds of Lucas Rowling, while the Celtics were led by 3A MVP Irish Kokia with 29 points and 6 rebounds. Finally, onto the 4A game, which featured the number 3 ranked Burnaby South Rebels of Burnaby and the number 9 ranked Semiahmoo Thunderbirds of Surrey. This game was open and shut before the first half was over. Semiahmoo did not lead the game once, as South scored the first basket and never looked back. Burnaby South took their second title in 3 years, winning 72-57. Semiahmoo was led by grade 11 Marcus Flores with 17 points and 8 rebounds, and grade 10 Torian Lee with 14 points and 6 rebounds. Burnaby South was led by 6'9 center Karn Ojla with 22 points and 13 rebounds, and league MVP Jimmy Zaborniak with 18 points and 8 rebounds. From the BC High School Basketball Championships at the Langley Event Center in British Columbia, Canada, I'm Zsolti Horvath. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Zsolti. On Oceania at a glance, an outpouring of help for people living in southeast Queensland in Australia. Eagle News correspondent Patricia Madronio tells us several organizations, including the Iglesia Ni Cristo or Church of Christ, provided aid for the region, which is recovering from record-breaking floods.
In recent days, sudden and unprecedented superstorms rampaged across southeast Queensland. With very little warning, the city of Lismore was caught off guard. After several days of torrential rainfall, vulnerable areas in this rural city have been completely submerged, with water rising to record-breaking levels. Homes of hundreds of Lismore citizens, businesses, and other establishments were completely underwater. As the water recedes, it leaves behind millions of dollars of property damage. Rescue missions by local authorities, joined by concerned individuals and organizations, have been mobilized. After finding refuge at evacuation centers, Lismore citizens return to their homes. There, they are met with the heartbreaking sight of complete destruction. Piles of destroyed mattresses, household appliances, and furniture line the streets. Add to that, homeowners now face the additional risk of mold growth and asbestos exposure from collapsed structures. As the news of Lismore's tragic situation spread throughout the country, help came in droves. The Australian Defence Force and the Iglesia Ni Cristo or Church of Christ are some of the organizations that have committed to assist in the repair of Lismore by sending manpower to aid in the city's cleanup needs. Other forms of relief such as food, clothes, medication, and school supplies have been sent as well. The city of Lismore remains in recovery. healing from the historic tragedy with the help of neighbors from across the nation. Patricia Madronio, Oceania at a Glance, Eagle News.
Thanks, Patricia. With an election set for this June in Papua New Guinea, women are being encouraged to seek office. Eagle News correspondent Eko Hortaleza Quinola has more on the story.
Here in Papua New Guinea, only 7 women have been elected in the national parliament in its 46 years of independence, urging the Social Democratic Party to endorse more female candidates in the coming election. 65 aspiring women leaders attended a 3-day workshop training themed Practice Parliament for Aspiring Women in preparation for contesting seats in the national election. National Capital District Honorable Governor Poes Parkop calls on women leaders of the country to be involved in and advocate gender equality in the nation. During the workshop, political levels and issues, sentiments, and other questions are raised and addressed.
A certain level of gender equality or bringing women into the balance, into the equation, as a consequential change in the social, economic, all the sectors. This is why we need this change. We need leadership that is both male and female, that is providing good, passionate, quality leadership for our country.
Dr. Alphonse Gelu speaks on good governance and parliamentary leadership, while Honorable Governor Poes Parkop discussed the role of government, opposition, and committees inside and outside Parliament.
That leadership is not only for men. Leadership is meant for both men and women. So democracy as a system, democracy as an ideology, basically gives equal opportunity. It gives equal opportunity to both men and women.
Women in Papua New Guinea are called upon today to brave the world of governance for a more progressive tomorrow. Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Oceania at a Glance, Eagle News.
Thanks, Eko. Time to put on your apron and head to the kitchen. This week on Behind the Counter, Aika Arat shows us how to make tofu-rific lettuce wraps.
Hey, I'm Aika, and welcome back to Behind the Counter, where we see easy and tasty meals be brought to life. Let us get right into it with a tofu-rific dish, tofu lettuce wraps. Check back here for full recipes, and if there's a dish that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on eaglenewslive.com, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. Check back next week when we go Behind the Counter.
Thanks, Aika. What a tofu-rific way to spend the weekend. And thank you all for watching. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basalyahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Kui. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Always love your last name, never gonna get old. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I'm Ken Cruz. Happy weekend, everyone.